Europe, land of stone walls and soaring spires, land of legends carved into rock and written in firelight. Every year, millions cross this continent. They wander through its cities. They pause in its ancient squares. But what are they truly searching for? Some come for history, others for architecture, others for romance. Yet the truth lies deeper still. Across this land stand cities that defy time itself. Places where medieval gates still guard the entrance, where cathedral bells echo across red-tiled rooftops, and where narrow cobbled streets remember footsteps from 1,000 years ago. Here the Middle Ages are not confined to textbooks. They live on in fortified walls, Gothic cathedrals, castle towers, and lantern-lit alleys. Empires have fallen, borders have shifted, but these cities remain. Europe is not merely a collection of monuments. It is a living stage of history, a tapestry of cultures, each city telling its own story in stone. And today, we take you on a journey through 25 of the most extraordinary medieval cities in Europe. Places where time slows, where history breathes, and where the past still shapes the present. Welcome to medieval Europe.
Óbidos, Portugal. Óbidos is a fortified medieval town enclosed entirely by stone walls where centuries of history remain carefully preserved. Settlement here dates back to Roman times, but Óbidos took its recognizable form during the Middle Ages, particularly after the 12th century when it was reclaimed from Moorish rule. For generations, Óbidos held a unique place in Portuguese history. It became known as a wedding gift town, traditionally given by Portuguese kings to their queens, a status that ensured careful protection and continual restoration. At the center of the town, whitewashed houses trimmed with blue and yellow lines line narrow cobblestone streets leading toward the castle that rises above the walls. The medieval fortifications still encircle the entire settlement, and walking along the ramparts offers views across tiled rooftops, rolling countryside, and the Atlantic landscape beyond. Óbidos is known for ginginha, a traditional cherry liqueur served in small cups, often made of chocolate. This local specialty is celebrated year-round, and especially during festivals such as the Óbidos Chocolate Festival, usually held in spring, and medieval fairs that bring music, costumes, and traditional crafts back into the streets. Despite its popularity, Óbidos retains a distinctly medieval atmosphere. Its scale remains intimate, its layout unchanged, and its daily rhythm rooted in tradition rather than modern expansion. Óbidos is where the medieval world remains intact and where history continues quietly within stone and silence. Pienza, Italy. Pienza is a small hill town with an outsized place in European history. Although human settlement in this area dates back to Etruscan and Roman times, Pienza as we know it today was shaped in the 15th century during a moment of extraordinary ambition. Originally known as Corsignano, the town was transformed when Pope Pius II, born here in 1405, decided to rebuild his birthplace into the ideal city of the Renaissance. At the heart of Pienza lies its central square, framed by the cathedral and noble residences, a space that still feels intimate, measured, and intentional. Beyond architecture, Pienza is known throughout Italy for its pecorino cheese, produced from sheep's milk in the surrounding Val d'Orcia countryside. For generations, cheese aging has taken place in stone cellars, using techniques passed down through families. Each year, usually in September, the town celebrates this tradition with the Fiera del Cacio, a historic cheese festival that fills the streets with locals, music, and a centuries-old game played in the main square, where teams roll wheels of cheese toward a central target. Pienza remains a quiet reminder of how history, culture, and everyday life can exist in harmony. Bamberg, Germany. Bamberg is a medieval town with a remarkably preserved historical core and a history that stretches back more than 1,000 years. Although settlement in the area dates to earlier centuries, Bamberg rose to prominence in the 10th century when it became an important religious and political center of the Holy Roman Empire. The town was shaped under the influence of emperors and bishops who transformed it into a city of churches, monasteries, and stone-built neighborhoods rising above the river. At the heart of Bamberg stands its cathedral, founded in the early 11th century, surrounded by historic squares and episcopal residences that reflect the town's former power and independence. Bamberg is known throughout Germany for its traditional smoked beer, known as Rauchbier, a brewing style that dates back to the Middle Ages. This tradition is celebrated year-round in historic breweries, and especially during local beer festivals, where brewing methods, wooden cellars, and communal drinking culture remain unchanged by time. Bamberg is a place where medieval structure remains intact and where tradition is not reenacted, but simply lived. Bruges, Belgium. Bruges is a city that grew slowly, deliberately, shaped by patience rather than speed. Its origins reach back over 1,000 years, but Bruges reached its height during the late Middle Ages when it became a powerful center of commerce in Northern Europe. Merchants from across the continent arrived here, bringing textiles, spices, and wealth, turning Bruges into a meeting point between the North Sea and inland Europe. Water defined everything. Canals were carved not for beauty, but for movement, of goods, people, and influence. Over time, those working waterways became the quiet veins of the city. The urban layout remains largely intact. Markets, guild halls, churches, and warehouses still stand where medieval life once unfolded, preserved not as ruins, but as functioning parts of the city. One of the city's most enduring traditions is the procession of the Holy Blood, a religious ceremony first recorded in the 13th century, held every year in May. The event moves through the historic streets, linking faith, history, and community in a ritual unchanged by modern life. Despite its preservation, Bruges does not feel frozen. It feels restrained. Quiet streets, measured movement, and a rhythm guided by water and stone define daily life. Bruges is where history is not recreated, but carefully maintained, step by step, generation by generation. Rüdesheim am Rhein, Germany. Rüdesheim is a town shaped by river, vineyard, and centuries of movement along the Rhine. Its history reaches back to Roman times, when the Rhine served as a frontier and trade route, but Rüdesheim developed into a recognizable settlement during the early Middle Ages. By the medieval period, the town had become an important stop along one of Europe's most vital waterways. Merchants, pilgrims, and travelers passed through here, carrying goods, stories, and ideas upriver and down. Above the town, vineyards climb steep slopes toward the hills. Wine has defined Rüdesheim's identity for over 1,000 years, with monastic communities and local families cultivating grapes along the riverbanks. Stone towers, defensive walls, and narrow streets reflect a past shaped by protection and trade, while the Rhine itself remained both a lifeline and a source of power. Rüdesheim is especially known for Riesling wine, produced from grapes grown on the surrounding hillsides. The region's climate and soil create wines that have been traded across Europe since medieval times. Each year, wine culture is celebrated through local festivals, most notably the Rüdesheimer Weinfest, held in late summer, when streets fill with residents and visitors and wine cellars open their doors. Despite its fame, Rüdesheim remains grounded in tradition. Vineyards still shape daily life, the river still sets the rhythm, and the town continues to exist in dialogue with its landscape. Rüdesheim is a town defined by the Rhine and by traditions that continue with the river's steady pace. Český Krumlov, Czech Republic. Český Krumlov is a town shaped by water, stone, and the slow curve of the Vltava River. Its history reaches back to the 13th century, when the town emerged as a fortified settlement in southern Bohemia, protected by geography as much as by walls. During the medieval period, Český Krumlov grew under powerful noble families, most notably the Rosenbergs, who transformed it into a regional center of authority. Above the town rises its vast castle complex, expanded over generations, watching over streets that follow the river's bend rather than any planned design. Medieval houses press closely together, their foundations rooted in stone, their facades shaped by centuries of adaptation, layered with Renaissance and Baroque influence. Each year, history returns during the Five-Petaled Rose Festival, held in June, when the streets fill with processions, music, and symbols tied to the town's noble past. Despite modern visitors, Český Krumlov retains its medieval scale. Movement remains slow, space remains limited, and time feels gently contained. Český Krumlov is a town defined by enclosure, where geography guarded history, and the medieval world continues without interruption. San Gimignano, Italy. San Gimignano is a hill town shaped by height, stone, and the ambition of the medieval world. Its origins reach back to Roman times, but the town rose to prominence between the 12th and 14th centuries when it became an important stop along the pilgrimage route of the Via Francigena. During the Middle Ages, San Gimignano was defined by competition. Powerful families built tall stone towers to display wealth, influence, and independence, transforming the skyline into a vertical statement. At its height, more than 70 towers rose above the town's walls. Today, 14 remain, still dominating the landscape and preserving the town's distinctive silhouette. Within the walls, narrow streets and open squares reflect a town structured around trade, faith, and civic life. San Gimignano prospered through commerce, particularly the trade of saffron and wine, which connected it to markets across Tuscany and beyond. The surrounding countryside continues this tradition. Vineyards produce Vernaccia di San Gimignano, one of Italy's oldest documented white wines, cultivated here since medieval times. Each year, local wine culture is celebrated during seasonal tastings and harvest events, linking modern life to agricultural cycles that have remained unchanged for centuries. Despite its fame, San Gimignano retains a strong medieval identity. Its towers still define space and movement, and its streets continue to echo with the structure of the past. San Gimignano is a town shaped by rivalry, by endurance, and by a skyline that still speaks the language of the Middle Ages. Sighișoara, Romania. Sighișoara is a fortified town shaped by walls, guilds, and the endurance of medieval life. Its origins date to the 12th century, when German-speaking settlers, known as the Saxons, established a defensive settlement in the heart of Transylvania. Built on a hill above the surrounding valleys, the town developed as a self-contained stronghold, protected by towers, gates, and thick stone walls. Each tower was once maintained by a craft guild, responsible for defense as well as trade. This system tied daily labor directly to the survival of the town. At the center of Sighișoara rises the clock tower, both a lookout and a symbol of civic order, marking time in a place where structure was essential to security. Narrow streets wind through the citadel, lined with brightly colored houses built upon medieval foundations, preserved through centuries of continuity. Sighișoara is also known as the birthplace of Vlad III, born here in the 15th century, a historical figure later associated with regional legend and folklore. Each summer, history is revisited during the Sighișoara Medieval Festival, usually held in July, when music, crafts, and reenactments fill the fortified streets. Despite changing times, the citadel remains inhabited. Life continues within its walls, maintaining one of the best-preserved medieval towns in Europe. Sighișoara is a place where defense became community and where medieval structure continues as living space rather than memory. Colmar, France. Colmar is a town shaped by crossroads, craft, and the quiet persistence of tradition. Its origins reach back to the early Middle Ages, when it developed as a small settlement along important trade routes of the Alsace region. By the 13th century, Colmar had grown into a prosperous market town, benefiting from commerce, wine production, and its position between larger powers. Unlike fortified hill towns, Colmar expanded outward across flat land, allowing neighborhoods to form around canals, workshops, and merchant houses. Half-timbered buildings became a defining feature, their wooden frames and painted facades reflecting both craftsmanship and civic pride. Water shaped daily life here. Small canals powered mills, supported trade, and connected households to the surrounding countryside. Colmar is closely tied to Alsatian wine culture. Vineyards surrounding the town have produced white wines for centuries, linking agriculture directly to urban life. Seasonal festivals mark the calendar, from spring wine celebrations to winter markets that fill the streets with light and ritual. Despite centuries of political change, Colmar retained its scale and structure. The town feels measured rather than monumental, preserved through continuity rather than isolation. Colmar is a place shaped by daily life, where medieval foundations support a tradition that remains quietly intact. Annecy, France. Annecy is a town shaped by water, stone, and the steady presence of the Alps. Its history reaches back to Roman times, but Annecy developed its medieval character between the 12th and 14th centuries as a regional center along Alpine trade routes. Built beside a lake and crossed by narrow canals, the town grew where water could be controlled, used for defense, transport, and daily work. During the Middle Ages, Annecy became the seat of local counts and bishops, giving it political and religious importance within the region of Savoy. Stone houses rose tightly along the canals, their arcades and bridges forming sheltered passages that protected merchants and travelers from weather and conflict. At the center of the Old Town, the castle stands above the rooftops, serving for centuries as a fortress, residence, and administrative center. Water remained central to life in Annecy. Canals powered workshops, regulated movement, and connected the town directly to Lake Annecy and surrounding valleys. Despite its strategic role, Annecy avoided large-scale fortification, relying instead on geography, control of waterways, and measured urban growth. Today, the medieval core remains intact. Streets follow their original paths, canals still guide movement, and the town's rhythm reflects a balance between settlement and landscape. Annecy is a place where water shaped order and where medieval life adapted to nature rather than resisting it.